What up, LinkedIn? So it's Sunday. I'm in the dark, but I got the lighting right. But no, what I wanted to talk about today was sales. And I just, I've been, you mean, obviously we see all the shit that's like cold calling's dead, or please stop DMing me on the first rip, or right when you connect with me. I mean, the list can go on. And listen, I'm a firm believer in practicing our free speech. Say what you want to say, believe what you want to believe. But I personally think that anybody, one, if you are a salesperson and saying cold calling is dead, whatever, or don't DM someone off the rip, whatever it may be, I would never work for that person, especially if they were like a sales. Like, think about that. Bring it on your team. Hey guys, you're the sales leader. Cold calling is dead. If I saw when I was like working for somebody, if a salesperson say cold calling is dead, I would literally be like, wait, what? What do you preach? Well, how do you sell? Please tell us. And when you tell us, don't be sitting here saying, I'm not even getting that. But also, if you have someone at your company, it doesn't even have to be sales related, and they're posting about cold calling is dead, I would probably talk to that person too, because unless you have a product or service that magically sells itself and you don't have to have a sales team that goes out and, makes sales. Let's face it, not everybody's calling unless you're at that company, but most companies don't have a company that, especially most companies, like at least if they're not like some huge name brand like Kind bars or whatever, like that you probably don't even need sales at that company, but you know what I mean? If I had someone in my company was like dogging on salespeople, I'd kind of be like, yo, pump the brakes on that. Like, we got salespeople that go out and cold call. We don't need to have someone in our company telling people the cold calling is dead. But anyway, so today I want to talk about, cold calling and the before cold calling, right? I think a lot of times people think of cold calling and they think of like robots. Yes, robots, like, are spammed. That's probably 90% of the people, I would hope, that is getting, those random like, hello, John, my name is so-and-so, we yada, yada, yada. And if you're doing that and you're not in a robot, cut that out, please. But just talking about like the process, you got to walk before you crawl, right? And just having like a roadmap onto getting to where you want to go, which is essentially the sale, right? So I look at things as like, first and foremost, what do you do? Like, not what you do. What does your service or what does your product help or sell, right? So I look at myself, and trust me, I'm like wordy as hell too. What do I do? Essentially, I help companies reduce transportation costs, mitigate risk, increase profitability, and eliminate manual processes. Simple, right? And I can go, trust me, I can go super in depth on how I do that. And I always used to want to be like, well, I can do this, 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 and this. No, I help companies reduce transportation costs, eliminate manual processes, increase profitability, and mitigate risk. Simple, right? You can memorize that. So you got to figure out, like, in one sentence what you can do. Don't worry about the rest, right? So now, who's your target customer, right? I think this is like a huge issue or challenge when it comes into sales reps. They don't really know. They see a couple companies. They don't know what goes into a target, what characteristics or what things to look for when qualifying a company beforehand, before you reach out to them, right? I should say reach out to them to get a meeting, right? So for me, it was always, it's changed, but it was always, hey, listen, I'm going to look at my notes right here, and it's CPG companies. That's who I target right now. Spend bare minimum 100 grand in transportation spend. They could utilize multiple carriers, direct or 3PLs. So a mixture of all manual processes on the front end and back end. So when I say front end or back end, I mean like manual processes on the front end, like quoting, booking, tracking, tracing, stuff like that. Now on the back end would be like accounting, getting invoices sent to you, separately, having to, data entry, having to do that manually. I look for those things. And then it's, minimal visibility when it comes into like business intelligence. How do you track, key metrics or key cost drivers inside your company? Those are something that I'm going to look for. And then has a TMS or doesn't have has a TMS and BI software, but pays for it. It's not integrated, little things like that. So now I know what I'm typically looking for in a customer, right? So now I have a little bit more of a roadmap to guide me to the first step is getting a qualified lead in my funnel, right? So, spent like the first 5 years of my life or my career going door to door, our business to business. And, we would always ask for the business owner. Hey, my name's Mike. I'm here to see the business owner. I mean, seriously, we did that and it worked. So the people that say that to the people say, I would never answer that. Well, first off, nobody even really wants to meet with half these people that are like, I will never answer cold calling. And the one offset, it is the person you want to meet that doesn't like cold calling, dude. You're going to get that. So, but there's a lot, now the times are changed. You're not really ripping, going knocking on doors, but build up so how are you qualifying leads though, right? So how do you qualify leads? Well, you already have, now we know what we do, right? In the back of our head, we know we solve or we reduce transportation costs, mitigate risk, increase profitability, and eliminate manual processes. Okay, cool. I already have that in the back of my head. We know, we have a roadmap to what a target customer is, what we're going to be looking for when we're qualifying these leads, and now qualifying, right? So I think of what, from a non-executive level, what does my service, I'm just going to have to stick with my service or my niche, right? It's logistics, right? So what does who do I help, right? What people do I help in the organization? What departments are impacted in an organization that I could help? And then who I would call to obviously see if there's challenges, right? Before going in and asking for a meeting. So I look at this, I look at shipping, obviously, right? And then I have a couple points of like what to ask, right? Shipping is like, hey, what's your process like when you receive a PO? Okay. Typically how many platforms do you have to jump on? Multiple platforms, all that stuff, but I won't get into that on this video. But so it's shipping. Sales is impacted by logistics, right? They play a big role into it. Accounting, right? So those three right there, sales, accounting, and shipping. So now I know who to call or what departments to call to qualify this lead. Again, qualifying a lead goes back to what's your target customer. So when you know your target customer and you know those challenges, typical challenges or what you're looking for, that's how you can start building out a qualified lead. So call shipping, call sales, call accounting, someone from accounting, someone from shipping, someone from sales. And again, you can qualify a lead through one of those, right? I can, but the more the more challenges you can discover in a company that you could solve, you're going to have a lot more ammo to when you reach out to that executive and say, hey, listen, I spoke with accounting, I spoke with shipping, I spoke with sales, and I know that they're having these challenges. What the executive might not even know they have those challenges, right? It's just that they were even challenges to begin with, right? So now that you have that, now you have a roadmap, right? Now you have a roadmap to get to where you want to go, which is essentially building out a funnel of qualified leads that that have a bunch of challenges that you could solve, right? And not just a list of companies that you're just ripping dials into saying, hey, listen, we help these companies. And again, I'm not saying I don't call companies or reach out to companies that I have no idea what they do, or not say what they do, but if they have challenges, because I do it all the time, but I know my target customer, right? So it's like CPG companies. I'm like, hey, listen, I work with ABC company. Listen, I know I don't know really anything that's going on from a supply chain logistics standpoint in your company, but again, work with similar companies. A, B, and C. We were able to do this for them. Was curious if you think this is an issue, or you think there's any challenges that I just mentioned. If it's worth a conversation, right? It's a lot harder to get the meeting that way, but it's a way to go around it. I would say qualify first, but if you're just doing some random calls and you're calling into a DM, that's something you can use if you already know your target audience though, or your target customer, right? And you have companies that you work with that are similar to them. And then you can name off some of the challenges that you solved. So this is huge for logistics and transportation. Like, I don't think anybody I think people more or less think of like brokers as because they are, right? Most people I think of brokers as like more carrier sales reps, and people in our industry will know that, but like carrier sales reps are like the ones calling the trucks, booking the lanes, and there's very few people that are, at least that after I left, like Worldwide Express was the first company I ever worked for, which was like, it was like a shock to me that nobody really, like, we didn't book shipments. We didn't do any of that. We went in and figured out what challenges the companies were having and sold a one-stop shop model, right? It's like, hey, we're a 3PL, full service transportation provider, partnered up with UPS. We know that, your shipping department's has a manual process. Your accounting is having to manually go through invoices. We can actually eliminate that manual process on the front end and back end, as well as drive down costs by maximizing your buying power with the carriers that you currently use separately. We're already partnered with all of them. So again, it'd be maximizing your buying power. So we'll be able to drive down rates as well as eliminate that manual process on the front end and back end. That's kind of where we are. Like, that's how I was like trained into logistics, right? So it was like a shocker to me that like other organizations, I mean, that I shouldn't have been a shock, right? Because it's like, that's how I won business on some of these large, like, again, that's where I started seeing, like, it's like, man, they use like four of my competitors. My competitors can do exactly what I could do, but they're not doing it, right? Why? It was mind blowing to me. So the transportation industry, there's a lot of like, if it's possible for you and you're not having a boss rip down your throat, and you can actually, you don't have to get on a call and grab freight, and you can actually start looking at if your company can actually provide, the one-stop shop model, maybe not even the one, I mean, even if you don't do the one-stop shop model, but just at least qualifying it, right? Just like your company has to be able to do something or solve a challenge that is not the must-be, right? Not a rate, not a, hey, we are customer centric. Like, everybody, you gotta realize everybody's customer centric. Like, nobody's going out there saying, hey, listen, we're pieces of shit, but we got good rates. I mean, maybe they are, but like, I can't see that happening. But listen, it have a roadmap, right? So what challenges do you solve? You got to know that, right? Real quick, real short, right? What challenges do you solve? Who's your target customer, right? Have a list out. Now, what departments aren't impacted by, if it's supply chain, obviously, what departments are impacted by the supply chain? What departments have something to do with the logistics or the supply chain? And then going in and calling those departments, not for a meeting, not for a shipment, but you're asking them, hey, listen, you already know the challenges in your head, right? You're just asking them the questions, right? You're not asking for the business. You're not selling them anything. You're asking questions. And then after that, that's when I say, okay, okay, cool. This one, they spend $100,000 a year in shipping. That's the bare minimum. They use multiple different carriers, direct, a couple 3PLs here and there, have a manual process. So that's diluting buying power. 3, have a manual process on the front end and back end. How do I know that? I talk to shipping, and they have to jump on multiple platforms. Talk to accounting. They're getting invoices sent to them via mail and electronically, but they're all over the map. They're having to go through that and check off like what was quoted, what the quote was, if it matches the bill, manual process. Boom. That's enough. And then it's have a TMS paying for their TMS, but it's not integrated into their ERP, which they have. And again, paying for it, not integrated. Well, I can give them a free TMS, and we can give them free integration into their ERP. So that's going to be cutting costs as well. So think about that. Now it's a qualified lead. Now I call typically, depending on the size of the company, but it's going to be usually the CFO, CEO, COO, if they have one. But if it's like an emerging brand, it's usually the founder, right? It's like, there's not, they don't have tons of people. Maybe they're not at the, depending, but it's like most people, it's going to be the founder or the CEO. And it's going to say, hey, we're going to stay away from the tactical stuff, right? The user level stuff usually. And it's going to be more or less like, hey, these are the challenges. These are the people I talk to. Do you know how this is financially impacting your company? Because all those things I just mentioned is financially impacting the company some way, somehow. This is how, right? And it's a lot easier to, not easier, but you look a lot more polished or know what you're talking about when you've done the homework. Think about any job you want, right? Or the job you want to have. You work for a company, you want to become the director of sales. Well, you better do the things before the director of sales prior to doing them, right? You got to make people's lives easier. So you don't want to have to, if you already went through and picked apart the company, know that you could solve these challenges, talk to the people that are going to already push you off to, more times than not, that sets you apart from all the masses of other salespeople. And they're going to look at you, most people do. And for the people that say they don't take cold calls, screw them again. Most people will look at you, even if they don't take the meeting, whether they admit it or not, in the back of their head, they got to really be thinking, okay, damn, this person really did their homework. Maybe they're going to check into it. Guarantee they're going to check into the stuff you uncovered. So I'm going to start again. I'm not selling. You don't got to take my opinion. I mean, I've done over $40 million in my career of sales. That's a plug. That is a flex. But seriously though, I'm not going to have some like $50 sales guru book for you guys. I just think that it's Sunday. I love sales. I like helping people. And I'm so annoyed with the fucking non-cold calling people. Like, listen, we get it. You got nothing to do but sit behind your desk and literally sit there and be like, I can't stand people cold calling me. Listen, we have these people. I want to be like, dude, I looked up your company. You got plenty of salespeople. Stop with that shit. I was just with my boy Ryan. I'll shout him out. I forgot his last name. He's not my boy, but he posted about like cold calling at 8:00 at night, and which I'm all for. Like, I've set so many more appointments early in the morning, like literally door to door, going in at like 6:00, seeing the light on. It's a CEO of the company. But some guy was like, I could respect the hustle, but how dare you? And he was like, I would be so bad. And I wanted to be like, dog, nobody wants to cold call you. This guy was trying to like shit on him for cold calling or double tap. And it's like, dude, go to bed. Same guy that did that posted a 4:30 in the morning on a Saturday, posted, this is becoming LinkedIn. I was like, dude, again, you could post what you want to post, but brother, man, take a volume. Who the hell is up at 4:30 in the morning to post like a negative shit like that? Please stop. Anyways, that's my rant. It's Sunday. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on a few other videos somewhere down in the near future, probably in, who knows, in a week or so. I'm working on a ton of projects. So I did want to get this out there. So again, I'll just recap it. What you do, like what challenges do you solve? What does your company solve? This is going to be for my logistics people, but you could switch it if you're not in logistics. But what challenges do you solve? What is your target customer? Know your target customer. Know from a non-executive level, so the departments that are impacted by logistics or supply chain, what challenges do those departments have, and then take that and look at it from a business standpoint. How do all those challenges in each department impact the business, the entire business, when you're going to go reach out to an executive? That's that. So that's my sales guru rant. I'll talk to you guys. Have a good week. Well, hope you guys have a good Sunday and get ready to kill it.